Hi, this is Gary Mintchell, and this is another one of my reports. Live March 5th. Of course, you won't hear it live, but the marvels of modern technology. Hey, I don't know about your 401ks and your other investments or how your business has been looking, but I've been charting a few of automation company stocks and just happened to notice, it just dawned on me that, Rockwell has broken over 50. ABB has come up over 20. Emerson has been going up quite a bit. And the overall stock market has gone up. I don't know how much is relative to just manufacturing and automation or how much is relative to the whole market going up. But either way, all of a sudden notice that several of the stocks that have key automation components of the company anyway, doing very well. So I hope that's a harbinger of things to come. As spring comes, I'm looking for some business to pick up, I guess. So I hope that's good for all of us. This a week ago, and the links are on my blog this week, and that's Gary Minchell's feedforward.com. But the links are up. Walt Boys, my friendly competitor from Control Magazine, and I had a conversation with Julianne Grant, who is Vice President of Talesian Marketing, and we talked about social media and PR and the relationship of press relations people and editors. And it's a good thing. It's a good conversation for marketing people who are trying to figure out how to work with editors. But it also can give the rest of you a little bit behind the scenes thing of how we work. I mean, a lot of times, we need as editors relationships with the marketing people to learn about new products and get interviews that we're seeking and find out about new technologies that are coming up and entree into end users that are using the products and so on. So this is a little strong, but it's a little bit of a love-hate relationship because the bad PR people drive us up the wall. And so anyway, you can find the link on my blog to the conversation that the three of us had. And we have these like Twitter conversations. Walt and I have presented at the ISA Sales and Marketing Summit, and there's another one of those coming up in September. So anyway, interesting things, especially if you're in marketing, some things to pick up on working with editors. Leadership and delegation. I've started following a blog by a guy by the name of Michael Hyatt, who is the CEO of Thomas Nelson Publishing, and he writes on leadership and media and a number of things that most of which I find interesting. And he just recently had a blog post that was leadership lessons from the Bible. And what he talked about was Moses. Now, most of you are probably familiar with Moses, but Moses is the person who was called to lead the Hebrews out of Egypt a long time ago. And it's famous, it's immortalized in things like, there's movies, crossing of the Red Sea and all kinds of stuff. But just think about it from a leadership perspective. Here's a person who came out of like many, many years of being a shepherd, and he was leading sheep or whatever it was he did. And all of a sudden, he had to organize a group of people in a new way of life who hadn't been organized this way, lead them to a place that they didn't know where they were going, and he had to settle all their disputes, and he had to figure out what they were going and what the new nation was going to be, and he had a lot of work to do. And he was killing himself. So he got some advice, and the advice he got, Michael Hyatt passes on. And so there's things about delegation, recruiting leaders to do stuff that needs to be done so you don't have to do it all. Does this all sound familiar? If you're a leader in manufacturing or in your marketing organization, you probably feel that. I know I do. So it comes back to learning how to recruit the right people, get them fitted the right way, give them the right kind of direction, let them do their thing so you only have to do your thing. Another thing that came up in the news during the last week that got a lot of conversation where I hang out here in Sydney, Ohio, had to do with that school that fired all the teachers in a school building because the performance was just so woeful. And I got to thinking, in my life, I have hired, I have fired, I have been hired, I have been fired. I mean, it all happens all over the place. And, it's kind of a tough subject, but that seems pretty radical. But, if the leadership, and hopefully the principal went too, because it all starts with the leadership. But if the leadership can't get the people going, if you're in a rut, and if everybody's discouraged, you just can't get them around, sometimes it's just better to say, we've tried working it out, it doesn't work out. You would be better off going someplace in a new situation where you can get new enthusiasm. We would be better off with somebody new with new enthusiasm, and maybe somebody whose talents are better suited to what we need today rather than what we needed 20 years ago. So I can rationalize that, and I can see it. It's a heck of a topic of conversation, probably something you should think about. Don't think about firing your whole staff, but always keep open to the fact that you need to monitor what's going on, and if somebody isn't really performing, you need to work with them and get things motivated. Maybe the problem is you, not your staff, and that's another problem. Thinking of education, since that was a school thing, I'm a member of Society of Manufacturing Engineers, and the SME Education Foundation just had a press release where they're working with their local chapters and with colleges and with high schools to do a computers in manufacturing program to introduce high school students to how computers are used in manufacturing. Now, SME is more on the discrete manufacturing side. They do a lot of chip cutting stuff and that sort of thing. And I'm a member of that, as well as ISA, which tends to be more process oriented. ISA, you should listen to this though, because they are working with their chapters, and I've heard grumblings, but that's politics. We'll leave that out. But anyway, it looks like a really great program teaching CAD and CAM, robotics, how to use computers to simulate manufacturing. A lot of really cool stuff that should turn on some kids, and we need to turn on kids to, hey, it's cool to make stuff. And if we make stuff, we add to the wealth of our country. And I don't care what country you're listening to, it's all the same thing. You got to make stuff to add wealth. Otherwise, you're just shuffling money around from one person to another. I had a couple of articles that we've gotten some really good feedback on that occurred in Automation World, and one I wrote, and it's just out. It's just available on the web, I think, and it's on sustainability. And what I was thinking about as I interviewed a number of people and reviewed a book was how to use sustainability and take it more than a catchword and more of an organizing principle for how to organize manufacturing in a new way so you're sustainable in your product development and in your manufacturing and in your shipping and your supply chain, and doing things in a new way, reducing costs, improving quality. Gee, all the cool stuff we're supposed to be trying to do all the time. Think about it as sustainability, not as an end result you put in the annual report, but more of a way to organize manufacturing for a better future, be more competitive, more cost efficient, and so on. Another article we've gotten some good feedback, Wes Iverson wrote, which is a February article on wireless and control. Wireless has a it's a hot button. It gets a lot of buzz. People like to argue it. But and one thing is, a lot of wireless that's been talked about has to do with data acquisition. And what if it were used as part of the control loop? And so Wes did a lot of research, and what we find is not a lot of people are doing it yet. There are a lot of people who would like to do it. And so if you have any interest at all in this kind of thing, we've gotten good feedback about Wes's article as a really good introduction to this whole way of thinking about wireless and control. And then one last shameless plug, the Automation World Packaging World Joint Packaging Automation Forum will be held May 4, and registration is open, and you can go to packworld.com/PAF and register. This is going to be a great opportunity to learn how to get maximum efficiencies out of your manufacturing lines, which includes process machines, packaging machines, putting it all together, working through ERP and MES to make sure you're building the right stuff at the right time and all that kind of thing. Should be very good. I'm really looking forward to it. Really great speakers on efficiencies of various kinds, and the conversation in the hallways and afterwards is always fantastic. So I'm looking forward to to seeing all of you there as we go ahead and do this. So anyway, this is Gary Mintchell. This has been another Automation Minutes, and wishing you a good weekend.